Hi, welcome. Today I'll be showing you how to use your Sharp calculator as a mathematical literacy learner, whether you're doing grade 10, 11, or 12. So what I have on my screen is a Sharp ELW535SA. Honestly speaking, that shouldn't matter much as long as you have a Sharp on your hand. It should do well for all what I'm going to show you. So most importantly, right, before we go any further, you have two important buttons on your calculator, and that is the second and also the alpha. So the second is in orange, the alpha is in blue. What they do is that if you press a second, which is here on your calculator, you are essentially activating the second function of the button or of all the buttons. This is what I mean. So here you have a 5. If you press a 5, like I will do now, I will have a 5 on my screen. That is the first function of a 5. But then 5 has also another function that has been allocated to it, and that is the NCR, which is printed on top of the 5. But how do I access that? Well, before I have to ask myself, what's the color of the function that I want to see on my screen, or the function that I want to use. In this case, it's orange. If it's orange, remember, second is orange, alpha is blue. Therefore, that means we must first click second, and then we press 5. You see, instead of a 5, now I have an C. So that's how the second function works. Also, even with the alpha, if let's say you wanted to have an answer, you can see here on the equal sign, an answer is in blue. If I wanted to click that, I would first have to go and click the alpha, and then I come here, and then I would have the answer button. So that's how those two works. Now, importantly, before you do anything with your Sharp calculator, you need to learn to reset it. For in other cases, it might happen that your calculator does not have the lead or the cover. If you put in the back, it might press itself and it might put itself on a different mode. Calculator has different modes. This is what I mean. Here, when you click on mode, you see you have the normal mode, you have the stats, you have the table, you have the drill. For our case, you always want your calculator to be on the normal mode, because that's where it does your general calculations, the ones that me and you in mathematical literacy, we deal with. Those are general calculations. So if your calculator, let's say your calculator were to find itself on stat, you see, okay, let's choose 1. Now your calculator would show something like this on the screen. But this is not where we want to find ourselves, as we just want to do a 5 plus 5. How do we reset this? So there are two ways to reset your Sharp calculator. First, you see now when I go to the home screen, I have a stat instead of the normal mode. I don't want that, because that will give me wrong answers for the calculations that I will be doing, because my calculator will be interpreting everything that I'm inputting on the calculator as in stat mode or statistics mode. So I want it to be on the normal mode. So to clear that, first you have to click on the second, and after second function you go to alpha, because directly on top of alpha we have the mclear, MCLR. Press that. You see now it says, what do you want to reset? Well, I want to reset, and the reset is a 2. You click your 2, and then to initialize all data to clear, you must press a 0. Initialize. Now we're back on normal mode. Alternatively, at the back of your calculator, there's a button that you can prod with your pen, press with your pen. I don't know why it's written prod there. I wrote that. I wrote that. It's press. But prod still does the same thing. So, yeah. Your calculator also has an answer function, so that you can do your calculations very quickly. Let's say in data handling, you have a lot of data there. You're doing a lot of data. And now let's say you get an answer which is 414. And if you wanted to add on top of 414, now there's no need for you to start by deleting and then start writing again. No, you can just use the same by just saying plus. You see, it will originally write answer, meaning that what you had on your screen, which is 414 plus 1, now I should get a 415. Comes in handy when we go to data handling. And also let's go to the change button. So what you would normally find in probability in mathematical literacy, change or determine the probability of randomly selecting a girl that is in pink in your class. So let's say that the girls that are in pink in your class, and the statement would further tell you that your answer should be in percentages, or your answer should be in fractional form, or your answer should be in decimals. So I would say the Janes in class that apparently are wearing pink, they are 5. And then this right here, the A over B, it's the fraction button. You have to use it. You use it a lot. So, in fact, let me write this here. Let me say that the A over B, this is the fraction button. It's more like a division button. Yeah, so let's use it now. So when we click on it, let's say that the girls in your class, all of them in total, they are 10. 5 are wearing pink. 10, it's all the girls in the class. Remember, the question said that it should be in a fraction. So let's say the question said that it should be in a decimal instead of a fraction. Obviously, first you would have to input it in a fraction form. And then we'll press equal to. Now we have 1 over 2. 1 over 2 is a simplified fraction for 5 over 10. So how do we get 1 over 2 to become a decimal? Well, you have a change button right here. It's written change. I immediately click on it. See, now I have a fraction. Now I have a decimal. And then if I click again, it takes me back to a fraction. So you can interchange between fractions and decimal by just using this button over here. And now, most importantly, your calculator can do time. Now, the time button is here, the one that is written DMS. This means degrees, minutes, and seconds. But for our case, let's pretend we'd never had degrees. We don't even know what degrees is. Let's put the hours, minutes, and seconds. So let's do this. So over here where these degrees, let me circle degrees. Let's cancel that. And now let's put what we know, and that is hours. So our calculator can do hours, minutes, and seconds. So using this DMS button, how does it do that? Well, let's go to this question, right? Tandy left George at 5:30 and reached Port Elizabeth at 8:25. Determine the time in hours. That's important. We are not just determining the time, we are determining it in hours taken to reach Port Elizabeth. So if you wanted to find the time, and by the way, we'll get to this when now we are starting to go in depth with regards to speed, time, and distance on the videos that will follow. So you just have to take the arrival time. The arrival time is this one here, which is 8:25, and then you have to subtract 05:30 or 5:30. So to do that, right, you can do that on your calculator. Let me just go down on my screen so I can have some working space. So let's say you wanted to subtract 08:25, and then you subtract 05:30. So on your calculator, you would have to say, you can say 08 or you can say 8, it's the same thing. And then secondly, you'd have to press DMS. So your calculator interprets that as you have just inputted or you have just inserted hours. Remember, it's hours, minutes, and seconds. So let me write this here and let me do that in white. How about white? How about we do it in white? So let's say hours, minutes, and seconds. So each and every number that you press and then you press DMS on your calculator will interpret that as hour because it's the first number that you put. And the first, when it comes to time, it has to be hours. The second, minutes. The third, seconds. So let's say with this regards, I have 8 hours, I have 25 minutes, I have 0 seconds. So if I input the 8, my calculator is interpreting it as 8 hours. This is what I mean. If you press equality, you see. So now you have this degree form, you have this minute form, you have this seconds form. By the way, that's what they mean. Let me just also put them here. So okay, let me just put them here, right? So when you have this a degree form, it's for hours, and then when you have this is for minutes, and then when you have both of them, it's for seconds. So it's 8 hours. But let's say I didn't have 8, I only have 25 minutes. I mean, like the time I just had was 25 minutes. How would I input that on the calculator? Well, this is what you would have to do. So because you don't have hours, and remember I said the first number you put on the calculator and you press DMS, your calculator interprets it as hours. So you would have to press a 0. By pressing a 0, you're essentially telling your calculator that I do not have any hours, but I would like to talk about time. How about that, right? No hours, but let's talk about time. What do I have? I have 25 minutes. I also have 0 second. You press equality, your calculator, you see, remember what this means? This is talking about minutes. Your calculator tells you that, oh, 25 minutes. That's what you wanted to say. So that's how you do it. Now let's go back to our question. So let's just clear this, right? So on our question, we had 8. Remember, whether it's you press 08 or you just put 8, it's fine. It works the same. And again, after pressing any number when you're doing time, you go back, you press DMS. Any number, DMS. And we have 25 minutes. Now, because we don't have seconds on either the 2 times that we have, there's no need for you to put seconds. And then you can still put seconds, you'll still get the same answer. You only put seconds on your calculator if you have seconds on your time. If you do not have seconds on your time, don't put seconds on your calculator. It's just simple that way. And then we'll say subtract. And now we have 0.5, which can just be put as a 5. And we also have 30 minutes. And then we go and say equal to. Now it tells us that the time taken or the time in between 8:25 and 5:30, it's actually 2 hours, 55 minutes, right? So, okay, a pink. I was doing this in a pink. So it says that it's 2 hours, 55 minutes. But then, remember what our question said? It said the time taken in hours. This is 2 hours, this is 55 minutes. Now we can go through all the process. By the way, this was a 3-mark question. Just do this 3-mark question. We could go through the process of having to convert 55. And now let me show you what I mean. And by the way, we'll get to this in depth when we start doing speed, time, and distance, right? I'll do a video for that. So now we could convert these to hours. How do we do that? We could say 55 divided by 60. And then, okay, let's go to our calculator and see what we get. 55 divided by 60. Okay, remember how we change from fractional form to decimal? We use the change button. It's 0,91666. Okay, let's just round it off, right? Let's say it's 0. Okay, that's not a proper 0. But does that look like a proper 0? It doesn't. Let's erase that. And now let's write something that looks like a proper 0. Okay, let me write it down here. It's 0, comma, it would have to be 92 because it's to 2 decimal places, right? So hours, because we just converted minutes to hours. And then from there, we'd have to take this 2 and we add it to this. And if we add these 2, let me just say plus 2. Change. I would have to get 2.92 after rounding it off. The answer would be 2.92 hours. That was a process for 1 mark because you essentially get 2 marks for the method and another mark for having to put it in hours. We could have done something here. Asking yourself, what could I have done? Let me show you. Right? Let's go back. So, here, now, we had 8. This is what I meant when I said you honestly didn't need to press a 0. You also will get the same answer. And then we had a 25. And then we had a subtract, a 5, and 30 minutes. DMS. 2 hours, 55 minutes. We could have essentially done this. We have a major button here, and it's right here. This DMS button has suddenly become your knight in a shining armor, by the way. So let's just do this. Press second function. The reason why we are pressing second function, we want to access this DE key here on top. We want to change this whole time into just a decimal format or into a format that is not time, right? So let's press it, DMS. There we go, change. See what I'm talking about? We have the 2 hour point, or we have the 2.92 rounded off to 2 decimal places, hours. So we'll get to that, but yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. So please do subscribe. Also share. I know that sharing is important than subscribing, but if we were to do both, I mean, they've been telling me you can multitask. Please do both of them. Thank you. Bye.